I mean, I feel like the accountants will be the unsung heroes soon when the Doge boys go to cutting on the Pentagon. They said again they're looking for $2 trillion to cut out of the budget, which is insanity mode. But what I like is they're getting this bipartisan sort of support because guys like Fetterman and guys like Sanders are like, hey, you cutting the budget, huh?
They're salivating.
Well, hell, I got a little list here.
Yeah, well, they're targeting. I think it's funny that they're targeting. What's his name? Vivek and Elon are targeting the administrative state, the staffing. But even if you fired literally every federal worker in the entire government, I think that would represent something like 2 to 5% of our entire federal bureaucracy budget. So, yeah, if they're going to cut $2 trillion, it's hard to imagine that doesn't come from the Pentagon, Medicare, and Medicaid. Those are our three biggest sources of spending in the federal budget.
The Pentagon, those are the guys who, like, every 9 years or so, the Pentagon is like up for financial review, and they're like, guys, I know we promised last time, and I am so super sorry about it. We lost $1.1 trillion. I'm sorry.
How much do they get each year? It's like 900 billion though. Has it gotten up?
Do you know how many times the Pentagon has been audited?
We get way too much from that. They were audited, or weren't they slated to have an audit on September 12th, 2001? So,
I believe the Pentagon has only been audited 7 times ever, and they have never passed an audit.
No, because it's a corrupt organization.
So it'd be good to go in there and start cutting. I'd like to do some exploring. I send in guys with fucking flashlights and make sure offices are actually where they're supposed to be. I hope they're like checking how many pencils people have checked out. I hope they're seeing like every little scratch.
Here's my question for you.
Is crazy.
Elon's history says that he finds expense cuts kind of indiscriminately, right? He just, you know what? This whole fucking place is bloated. Half of you are
That's not true. So I heard this recently on a podcast. When he took over Twitter, he had a day where he worked some ungodly amount of hours continuously, they said. And he had every employee show up, and every one of them got 5 minutes. What are you working on right now? And
like, what have you done in the last week or something?
No, he'd ask every one of them, what are you working on right now? And what can we do to improve the company? And he started cutting people right then and there. Like, well, you're fired. And there's no way to hide from that, right? You go in there and you tell him, and I'm sure there's people, he's got assistants and like can verify these people are doing what they're saying they're doing or whatever. So I kind of like that.
From it. Here's where I take. Let's pretend that you, Kyle, are an ineffective employee. And I say, Kyle, defend your position to me. I'm going to finish that 5 minutes fucking sold, flattered. Like, you are going to keep your job because you're good at selling yourself. And then you could have some other guy who doesn't have that same talent, who might be more useful to the company, but he's like, I'm working on like a couple of things and like just not able to sell himself.
You can't tell me what you're working on. I don't want you here. I don't care how good you are at it.
And to Kyle's point of like this review process, my understanding of it was that Elon was asking for like specific deliverables over the past week, where he asked something like, what could we do to make Twitter better? And can you tell me something you've accomplished over the past week? Like, what's a project you undertook and like what has been completed? And it turns out in government, in a lot of these big tech companies, there are a ton of people skating by and doing that, like the shit Woody and I have talked about a million times, where it's like one dude is working his fucking fingers to the bone, and then 8 other guys are not giving a shit, just phoning it, just sitting on meetings on mute with the camera off while they're playing games. And so you can, like, anyone who's gone to a DMV or like any government office has looked around and been like, and you can almost identify it in real time. You can be like, that lady's on the fucking ball. She's running everywhere. That guy's on the ball. He's running everywhere. He's helping 3 different windows. And then there's a group of 7 people back there that have not moved away from the water cooler the entire 30 minutes I've been waiting here. What are those 7 people doing?
Well, yeah, and if you can figure out who's who in 5 minutes, then that's impressive. I imagine I'd have like be right 2/3 of the time.
Well, to the extent that you can eliminate redundancies or get rid of unnecessary bloat, I don't disagree with that in principle. But again, that represents such a tiny sliver of our budget. I'm looking at our budget right now. It's 6.75 trillion, 1.46 for Social Security, 912 billion for health, So and then 882 billion is for net interest we're paying on our debt. 874 billion for Medicare. 874 billion for national defense.
Well, there's lots of things. That's a huge blanket.
National defense.
I think there's like a $5 or $8 billion subsidy / loan for Rivian this year, and I love that Elon Musk gets to decide if they get it or not. Like, I don't think Rivian needs that loan. And do they? Aren't they like doing just fine? Don't they have that badass pickup truck? Did they need $8 billion worth of federal government subsidy? Like, wait, I'm not going to buy a Rivian.
You don't think it's a massive conflict of interest to have someone who is the beneficiary of government subsidies actually wielding a very real influence on who gets
no more than I think
his competitors?
No more than I think the people deciding who we go to war with have massive holdings in Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and shit. Like,
okay, but no whataboutism. I agree.
I mean, like, do you see that as a potential conflict of interest?
I see it as an immediate.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's why I brought it up. Yeah, it's a problem.
Sorry. I didn't hear.
Kyle loves Kyle sees the conflict of interest and loves it because it's his team and it's fun.
Fuck Rivian.
Fuck Rivian.
Fuck your stupid truck. Oh, it's got a grill in it? Does it? Well, you don't need a loan this year, do you? You should be selling like hotcakes. Oh, the hotcakes that you make inside your fucking Rivian truck, loser.
And guess what? The front of your trucks is ugly.
It's ugly as shit.
It looks bad. It's too slim. It's not bulky enough. Not a fan.
Interior to Rivian.
The lights are weird.
No thanks, Rivian.
I've been in a Rivian. I loved it.
Yeah, they're
the only one of us with any experience. He's like, oh, that's pretty nice.
I watched a long ass video. Dude, I was super impressed.
It's crazy. It's like an 8,000 pound truck that accelerates like a Corvette, and somehow you can feel the mass of it, and it is pretty neat. It was pretty neat. It's expensive though.
I like the way the Rivian trucks look. Only a tiny bit more than I like how the Cybertrucks look.
Really?
I dislike the look of the Cybertruck so much. Mm-hmm. It's so jarring and ugly every time I see it on the road. It's like a fun novelty, but it's aesthetically displeasing. It's ugly. It's angular. It's like if you used like brutalist architecture to create a car.
My whole life, I've been programmed that cars have two headlights and like a vented grill in the middle. And that's like the only thing in common across every car everywhere. And now that they need aerodynamics and not cooling in the front, it changes the look of it. And I think to myself, well, like, we're solving a different problem. It can look different. It's okay.
There's kind of a big issue with that design. And somebody was, I feel like there's a lot of like bullshit videos on Twitter of people complaining about Elon's products, but for the Cybertruck, they kind of bury the light like in the grill. Yep. And if you're driving in the snow and the snow accumulates, it actually blocks the light, which seems like a really big flaw.
It needs a defroster on it. They need like there's going to be so many little things like that they didn't think about. It needs a defrosting bar on the lights to melt the snow out of it.
I mean, they had that pedal issue, right? Did they get that rectified?
Well, all right. So when we say rectified, what they did was you took it in and they shut. You know what a pop rivet gun is?
For this story, I do.
They went fixed. They just nailed it.
Bolted on there.
They nailed the offending piece to the floor. Is what they did.
I don't like that. I don't want a high-tech car with nails in it.
Well, it doesn't have nails. It has pop rivets, but you don't know what those fucking are.
Okay, well, I don't want to.
You're a soft-handed city boy.
Do you guys think that
Grandpa knows what a pop rivet gun is?
Are going to be able to cut $2 trillion?
But he's got a pneumatic.
No,
but he does. That's such a homo.
As soon as I hear that number, Hutch, I say
super smoocher.
I'm like, you know what? They say 2 trillion. They don't really mean 2 trillion. They're just saying that for effect. What they really mean is 2 billion. And
better be more than that.
no, he's coming for 2 T's.
Little.
Yeah,
I know, but I don't know how much there is to cut.
I agree with the core of what you're saying. Like, he's doing like, this is literally, and we've talked about this, so I don't want to stay on it, but like, this is how negotiations work. You set the anchor point high or low, depending on what you're doing, and then you move from there. When he says he's going to cut 2 trillion. Yeah, 100. You think Elon Musk doesn't know how to negotiate?
I think this is all Elon.
He's not very good at business.
I don't think he's great at it. No, I think
he knows a little about.
What I think Elon Musk is good at is marketing and streamlining. I think he's good at marketing and streamlining and very little else.
Dude, he's clearly good at more than that, because otherwise you could look at a bigger budget organization like NASA, and like
a bigger
per capita breakout, the successes they've had comparatively.
A bigger budget organization? What do you mean?
Then what?
Like than SpaceX, for example. So like the thing that was holding back NASA from doing these like returning rockets and whatnot wasn't brain power. It wasn't sheer brain power because they have that at NASA. It's organization. It's getting people in the right thing, in the right organizational structure to actually work on the right things.
It was ingenuity. What SpaceX did. The whole idea of the reusable thing. They shit on him at NASA. There's a video of them like making fun of him the same way there are videos of them making fun of Trump. And they showed him a clip of, I think, Buzz Aldrin or somebody being like, saying that SpaceX was a waste of time and that it led money away from where it should be. And with NASA, Elon cried. They showed him that interview during his interview and he teared up. It was like, dude, don't do that to him. Don't show him Buzz Aldrin shitting on him. That's awful. He was so like hurt by that.
One of my favorite things about Elon Musk is like furthering the space shit.
Of course.
Like there needs to be more exploration of space. That's cool. It's fun. Like I used to like be strongly on the team of like, let's explore all the oceans because that's cooler to me intrinsic. Like I'd rather know what's happening in the deep than like what's happening way out in space because it's closer to us. But we're not going to get the ocean exploration thing unless he becomes autistic for the sea, which I don't anticipate. And so I'm just going to enjoy the new frontier of space.
Well, my problem with SpaceX is he's not exploring, right? It's NASA who does the exploration. Elon Musk's flights are so low, they're basically airplanes. And NASA is going to Jupiter and Mars and Pluto and beyond the solar system. NASA is doing real science. Elon Musk is delivering payloads to low Earth orbit.
And he's over-promising when it comes to like Mars colonization, for example. That would be a multi-trillion-dollar project. So you got to find funding for that. And this is what Neil deGrasse Tyson said the other day, got him into some hot water. But he's right. Like you need to find like $5 trillion, and who's going to invest in that? What is the return on that investment? Nothing. So like, I don't know if we're going to see this great colonization of Mars anytime soon.
I watched that clip of Neil deGrasse Tyson as well. And it's like, I was shocked to see someone who's supposed to be like a scientist so disinterested in like trying to further a lot of this stuff and turning it into numbers of like immediate ROI. It's like, what are you talking about? What was the immediate ROI on making Pluto not a planet? Why'd you spend so much time on that? What was the immediate ROI on that, Neil?
It's just practical considerations, though. Like, how do you get around that? Like, who is going to fund this great colonization project on Mars? Elon's rich, but he cannot fund that.
No, he can't fund that. And so, like, I'm not that invested in the colonization of Mars immediately. It doesn't seem like that's even feasible or possible. Mars seems like a total shithole. But it's cool to see someone trying to get us further up there. And I mean, in the furtherance of getting more stuff into space for more exploration, it seems as though these reusable rockets are incredibly useful.
No, that shit is fucking cool.
Like I said, it's like 20 times cheaper or something like that. It's maybe 60 times it was the number. It was crazy how much cheaper. And just to be clear, they're working together. Like the plan, I know we joke about the moon mission and how it gets put off 5 years every year. But the plan is that Blue Origin is going to build part of the lander, and that Musk with SpaceX is going to build part of the lander, and NASA is going to fly it. Like it's a group effort for whatever moon or Mars or manned exploration big projects are going to be done. But besides that,
SpaceX also contracts with like other countries as well, right? It's not just NASA. Like I feel like they do contracted work for China as well.
Yeah, they anything if you want a satellite up there, the cheapest way to get it done is Musk.
Yeah, are there any other countries like kicking our ass in the space?
Not even
race
close.
Right now, I wouldn't think there's anyone even in the vicinity of us.
China's constantly launching more stuff. I think Japan is the one that had that. Is it called Hayabusa or something? They're the ones who sent the probe out to the asteroid. And then they landed on the asteroid, grabbed a sample, took off from the asteroid, shot the sample back to Earth, and now it's currently flying to a different asteroid to do the same shit. And we got all these little and not when it landed, it took pictures. So like it landed for a split second.
You believe those pictures? Fool.
It lands,
idiot.
And it grabs a bunch of it fills its pockets, it takes a bunch of pictures, and then it jumps back off and like headed to a new thing. And they've got those samples back, and they've tested them, and it's interesting. Like
this is from space.
This is totally not from my yard.
We're not getting tricked the way we tricked Denmark. Get owned, Denmark. Do you remember that? We
I
were
do remember that. No, I know somebody who tested one of the samples.
Maybe it was the Netherlands or some country like that where we went over there and we're like, Netherlands, we love you guys so much. Here's a piece of the moon. And they're like, oh, that is so cool of you. Thank you so much. And then like years later, someone in the Netherlands researched it and is like, we have been hoodwinked. This is petrified wood. Yeah, we literally tricked the country with petrified wood. Get a load of these fucking idiots.
Don't know. Well, all right, so nobody knows what really happened. Like, maybe we gave him a real moon rock and some fucking goober in over there snuck in, did the switcheroo on them. You know, I like to believe that we're on the up and up. That they wouldn't allow that to be stolen. It's like the Netherlands. They don't get a lot. Like they'd be super stoked. It's more likely that we're liars or that they're bad at keeping up with their
I think we played a little fun joke on another country, and that's fine.
We are rife with fucking moon rocks. We got them like coming out of our shirt sleeves and stuff. Biden's got one in his fucking office, a big one.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw a video. He's like, that's from the moon.
That's from the moon. Back in my day, we didn't allow black people on the moon. We wouldn't send them there. It wasn't wrong. It wasn't
kind of
okay.
didn't.
And then he whispers to you.
Black guy came up and said, "What do you want? Why you want to go to the moon? Don't you want to touch my legs? Rub the hair.
Not bad.
They get blonde in the summer with all the sun.
Oh, they get so blonde in the summer. Right? The black kids would walk up, they'd be marveling at my legs.
And
I'd say, get out of here. You're not allowed.
More a month of Biden content. So,
no,
only
no,
one.
He's going to get his own. You think he's retiring? No, he's going to do Monday Night Football.
Dude, he's going to become like a John Madden character.
I wonder how much longer he's going to live.
Oh, forever.
Dude, once you get above 80, it's a crapshoot. Like probably not long.
I keep predicting both of them are going to die, and I keep being wrong.
Has Jimmy Carter even died yet?
No,
that's another one I'm wrong about.
They haven't told him yet. They haven't told him about the election.
This guy has been on hospice for like 2 years. Like,
yeah.
Hospice is usually when they bring you into like, okay, the end is nigh.
Yeah.
And that one picture of him came out recently too, or it was like, not right.
Dude, that was fucked up with them. His family.
From Fallout.
That was fucked up with his family taking that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was rude. And also, like, I don't know if you heard this, Hutch. Seems like you have. He apparently, for over a year now, like a year and a half, is totally incapable of any form of communication. Like even like blinking and moving. Like he's been nonverbal for years. He like isn't giving like indicators back that he's understanding. Like he's like totally non-responsive at this point.
Who cares?
Which is like one of the scarier ways to imagine dying almost.